you guys are enjoying the stream today, you want to support, got a Twitch Prime sub, it goes a long way to helping out. We are doing replay packs of this tournament. They have not told us that we can't. So if you subscribe, you will get access to the replay packs, which I think is a pretty good deal personally. So I would say get yourselves on that. And yeah, get yourselves the replays if you're a subscriber. All the support helps out a bunch. As always, greatly appreciated. So, game number 1 of this best of 5 as we get this underway. Look to see what's going to happen over the course of this series. The first game between soO and Zest, who have had quite a history between them, really. I feel like at some point in time, both could have been considered the best player of their respective race in the world. We've had some really great series between them. Obviously, Zest was one of those players who, way back when, I mean really way back when now, was able to take that GSL off of soO. That was way back when. Going back quite a while. So he was one of the ones to win a finals against soO in the GSL. And honestly, over time, they've really traded series. soO is behind 53-64 against, 50-22 against Zest in matches, 53-64 in maps. Most recently in Home Story Cup 20, Group C, Zest 2-0 against soO. And Zest in general has had very good PvZ lately. Mixed in a couple of aggressive cannon rushes, but in general has just looked strong throughout these qualifiers, through some tournaments that I've hosted recently. I think Zest's definitely contender at the moment. They've actually, I mean, this is kind of crazy. soO has lost the last 5 encounters against Zest, picking up only 3 maps across 5 matches, 3 best of 3s and 2 best of 5s. And that dates back to Home Story Cup 19 in June. So it's been a little while since soO really managed to get one up on Zest. Zest is actually kind of looking good again at the moment. He's kind of looking very dangerous, especially in PvZ, I'd say. He's looking very dangerous lately, and I don't know, I feel like Zest over the last year or two has been very hit or miss. Some days he does show up and you're like, oh my god, hashtag Zest is best. And the other day Zest shows up and you're just kind of like, Zest is worst. Like sometimes, you know, you try and find a new rhyme and, you know, then you're like, well, my rhyme kind of is as bad as Zest's play right now because he really doesn't do very well. So, you know, sometimes he does just show up and he just completely flops, and it's kind of that Zest factor at the moment. You either got it or you don't. But lately, this last couple of weeks, it really feels like he's got it. And that bodes well for him. I mean, very important qualifiers right now, WESG. You talk about qualifying in WESG, and there is so much money on the line for the WESG. Once you get through this Korean qualifier, some people would argue the hardest part is done. You make it through the Korean qualifier, you're very likely to advance through the APAC qualifier. And then, you know, at the main event, yes, it's tough, but it's just one more run, right? So let's see what Zest can do as he opens up his WSG campaign. He's never been a player, neither has soO, to actually go to a WSG. Neither of them have ever made it there before. It's been dominated by TY, Maru, Rogue. TY, not even Rogue, TY, Maru, Dark. Classic made it there a couple of years back as well. Innovation, of course, winning it last year. Zest opens with the Robo and the Warp Prism, but he very quickly switches it to double Stargate. So he's going to play a Phoenix heavy build to try and catch soO a bit off guard to start the game. So he's going to invest into a lot of Phoenix, and his goal with these is to obviously deal quite a bit of damage, get on the map, really start to kind of push around and, you know, pick up some kills. So you're going to build up to about 6 Phoenix, then make across the map and get going. So Warp Prism down on the bottom side as we do see first Phoenix starting up. Now soO is pretty blind, right? Because the Warp Prism did a very good job with the Stalker to just clean out the one overload that was across the map. So you clean that up. And once that's cleaned up, I mean, now we see Phoenix on the way. How are you meant to see that as soO? Well, you kind of just don't, especially with the Warp Prism out. It's a really nice touch because you're really afraid of what this might be. But it really is just these Stalkers, but you've got to be so careful in case there's an Immortal. in case there's a follow-up. You know, you're looking at this as soon, you're like, well, there's no third base. I'm really afraid because of that as well. The longer you don't take a third base, the more likely you are to just come across the map and try and kill me. So soO's got to be careful. He picks off one Stalker here, so Zest will be back down at 3. I think that was maybe a reinforcer Stalker that just got found before it met the Prism. And very soon, soO will know, because again, at 6 Phoenix, that's typically when you move out. 6 Phoenix together, they'll get across the map, they'll kill units very quickly, and they'll come in before there's really a gathered defense. So you can get in there, you can pick off a Queen here, a Queen there. Those Spore Crawlers, you can do a pretty good job when it comes to, you know, getting rid of a couple of drones as well, and kind of sticking around in those mineral lines. This is a great job by Zest as well. Picks off the Overlord in the main base, so really able to make a little bit more happen right there, as we do have 2 more Phoenix from Zest. Still in the production tab. He's got the gateways from Zest finishing up here as well. So they're going to be finishing up our Overseer from soO, moving onwards still in towards the main base and just still trying to see just what else is going on. 2 Phoenix together going in after the Overseer and quite a bit of damage being done. Looks like that Overseer will go down. There's 7 more Hydras on the way, so... Well, on the plus side, Hydra's already on the way out, right? So you're kind of getting something that will help against these Phoenix. They pick up a few drones. There's a free Overlord there as well. He's really struggling. He's going to be supply blocked again after that Overlord goes down, so... He's struggling to kind of rebuild a bit, although he lost so many drones, he was actually being unsupply blocked as he went, so he was able to start rebuilding already to some extent. Still far from ideal. Now we have these Phoenix out around the top side. With the rest of them coming in as well, so we had a good Phoenix scout. Now Zest goes into immortal production. I am surprised there's only 1 Robo. Typically, I'd say at this stage you maybe go double Robo. But I guess there's not really many roaches. In fact, there's no, you know, there's like 3. So because there's not many roaches, you might not feel a need for double Robo immortal production. Feels like you can just get away with the 1 for the moment. And he can spend some of his gas elsewhere as well. That one Phoenix was up there in the sky so long. Spore Crawler helps get it. You can already just see soO's work count. 56 against 51 right now as he continues to lose more drones in the main. He's just not even being able to really over-drone at all here, which is something you like to do typically against Phoenix. If you over-drone, what you set up is basically a scenario where, you know, okay, yes, I'm going to take damage, but what else are you going to do other than just pick off my drones? So I'm just going to rebuild the drones in advance of you killing them. So just going to be seeing the Lings continue across. The War Prism has decided to go back home eventually as well. There still has the Stalkers and the Adept inside. But it doesn't look as though they're going to get up to much more here. Looks like they'll probably just drop off with the main army. I wonder if there's enough here from Zest to maybe make a push happen. Probably not, right? Because he doesn't have charge, actually. So that's one thing that you... Yeah, there's no way Zest gets aggressive. If he had charge, maybe I could be like, oh, well, actually, maybe you can push across the map now. But obviously the Twilight is super delayed because of the fact it was Phoenix and a lot of Phoenix before you then start moving to the rest of this gameplay. So... One weakness right now for Zest is absolutely a lack of charge. Obviously, upgrades is something he's working on fixing right about now. But the army is coming across the map here from soO, and there's a good amount of Hydras in here. These Phoenix find a Roach. Now the Hydras come in. Zest will see that they're coming from the center of the map, so that should give him an idea that there's intentions here from soO to move across and get aggressive. Army supplies are equal. And again, there's a lot of Zealots that are nowhere near as useful as you'd expect Zealots to be. More spreading out, a good few sentries mixed in. It's a tough map for force fielding though. Maybe we can get the force field across here. It's probably the best position, so Zest is going to come forwards and meet this army. He only gets 3 or 4 roaches. Corrosive Bowels even breaking 1 or 2 of them out there. As our Phoenix continue down the bottom left. We're just going to have those flying in. We'll be able to get an Overlord, get a Queen here, so again, good little combo of kills, and in the end, soO decides not to commit to the fight, pulls all the way back home, goes into the Baneling Nest to continue his composition and to keep on improving that. But a Baneling Nest, I mean, Baneling's going to work, but obviously because it's a Phoenix Open, you play pretty Hydra heavy, which means he's actually committed into missile upgrades. So those Banelings are not going to be terrifying like they usually would be. They're going to be, yeah, they're still good, you know, splash damage still goes a long way, but they're definitely not kind of the scariness that is 2+2 Banelings, as that is a lag spike. But yeah, it's definitely not, that's another lag spike. But yeah, it's definitely not the scare factor of +2 Banelings, because +2 Banelings, I mean, even just the fact that you can one-shot probes is terrifying, because it means you just have to be so much more careful on your mineral lines. You know, 1 stray Bane is all it takes, and boom, half your mineral line is just gone. That's not my ping creeping up. My ping is pretty good here, so it looks like someone else maybe having a couple of connection issues. Hopefully not something that persists. Kind of very surprised the players don't pause. Okay, there's gotta be a pause now, right? It's lagging all over the place. Phoenix going to continue down the bottom. Well, there's your Banelings, 26 of them, Bane speed on the way. Yeah. Zest is aware of kind of this transition that's happening, right? So as Banelings start to come up, he invests into the proper splash damage to deal with them, which is absolutely the Storm. The Storm is about maybe 10-15 seconds more away than the Baneling speed. See, a lot of the roaches getting caught up there, but not a lot of damage output actually. The Mortals kind of kept away from those Banelings and those roaches. And in the end, you're still going to turn this around, so it's a good hold from Zest here so far. Used a lot of his sentry energy now, though, so he's lost a lot of what he could have to then continue this defense. He has got to be careful. Storm finishing in a moment or two. That's a Roach picked up, with the Lazards charging forwards. Bane is going to go rolling in. Sami is still running another Storm or two down on the bottom side. Swarm Prism pulling some units back as well. Immortal and Sentry joined in there. You're going to see the Sami continue to push on through. The extra Banelings coming forwards. All the Storms have been used up. There wasn't a lot of Banelings to use the Storms on as soO trying to make this break happen. Corrosive Violence as the Phoenix trying to come to save the day. They're starting to lift up some Hydras, but the Hydras getting the return favor, getting those Phoenix out the sky, and it looks like Zest is falling apart here. Enough units to pick off this fourth base. Across the map, there's Zealots making their way through this third base of soO. soO's already lost 20 drones to this. He doesn't have a defense at home yet, but the Roaches are on the way to start dealing with that. The fourth base from Zest goes down, and now we might make our way up towards this high ground position as well. As we're going to see, I say fourth base, this is the third base, this was the fourth base. Same idea though, he loses the Nexus, and now the continuation from soO. Especially because he's cleaned up back at home, so those Roaches not only clean up, but now they're going to keep pushing across the map to go for this Nexus here. So this Nexus will go down. Again, Ling Roach getting ready to press up to the high ground. Phoenix coming over, Zealots, Sentries of Mortals, High Templar hanging out as well. There is not much left over here from soO. I mean, he's got these bases, but on the far left side, he's kind of wrapped up. But again, there's also nothing else happening from Zest on that other side of the map. And Zest find a defense. He's got a Storm or two back up and available. There's not a lot of Banelings here. A couple of Force Fields. There's only 2 Immortals. It's just not enough damage output, and one of those Immortals is already down and dead. And you're trying to morph in an Archon too, but when you get rid of enough of the tech units from Zest, this is exactly what happens in the follow-up, right? How are you ever going to have enough tech units to actually clean out this road trap? Of course, you will not. And soO's attack makes it work. He really came in at that time. Our Blue Protoss player, give it up if you're cheering on Zest. He is down a map. I kind of feel like the Phoenix did a good job. I kind of feel like he put himself in a decent position. And it kind of did just begin to fall apart a little bit later on in the game. Just wasn't able to hold that attack. As in the bottom right-hand side, our Red Zerg player is soO. Up 1. It would be cool to see soO make a play for WESG, right? And if he wins this, whoever wins this has a very tough series ahead of them in the form of Maru. I know Maru didn't exactly look... Maru didn't look super convincing against Alani because he lost that first map, I feel. But actually, I still felt like I say, that first map still felt like Maru kind of controlled it pretty well. I think whoever plays Maru will have a tough time, of course, so... What's actually interesting is, outside of Innovation, who's already invited, Maru, Dark, and TY are the only ever WSG finalists from Korea, alongside Innovation. All 3 of those guys are already in the final round of this qualifier. Take a moment and let that sink in. Those players, the same set of players, are just dominant again and again. Classic as well was a WSG player for Korea, but obviously he's retiring, so not counting him in the equation. So out of active WSG Korean players, all of them that have been played so far that are finalists in WSG. I guess Classic's not even a finalist, right? So you could argue that as well. It's kind of crazy. We've had 5 different finalists. One of them, Cyril. He's obviously not available for the Korean qualifier. He's also invited, I believe. We also have Innovation, he's invited. And again, the 3 other WSG finalists ever. Maru, Dark, and TY. Dark versus TY, that will happen our first series tomorrow. Make sure you tune in bright and early. 10 AM CET for that that TY versus Dark game. Maru game might happen just after this if soO keeps up this winning performance. We'll also have lower bracket tomorrow as well. That will feature Trap versus Rogue, a GSL finals rematch. Look forward to that PvZ action tomorrow. And of course, you have whichever match Zest gets into, that'll be played tomorrow too. Twilight Council starts up from Zest over in at the main base. Rotron dropping down in the main, and Link Speed on the way up. 4 more Zerglings on the way out, actually. So, getting that up and running, getting that ready to go. We do see the Overlord from soO out into the center. The Zergling moving around this top side, and Twilight Council, Robot Facility. Both of these getting set up right from the start. Small Linkers just coming in from soO, obviously getting to that point where you just want to make sure you've defended properly against that. A couple of adepts. It's actually made a lot of lings. There's some kind of... I mean, it's kind of 3 workers late for Ling Flood if you're going to make even more lings than what you've already made here. He's waiting for Ling Speed to move forwards. There's Adept Shade backwards. So again, you're trying to hide this. No, sorry, I didn't even see the Rotron. I'm off talking about finalists and stuff. There's a Rotron down, so that's what he's waiting for to build next. So soO's getting very aggressive in this game too. It absolutely makes sense why he's got 22 drones. It's not a full-on Ling Flood, it's a Ling Roach attack. As we get this set up and ready to begin. So a few Lings just out the front. A few more Roaches just on the way up as well. So again, that ready to go. We are going to be having the Dark Shrine dropping down in the main base. And the Ravager just setting up as well. And a Warp Prism, a couple of units inside of this, a couple of Adepts. When we pulling back here, the Stalk in the front gets picked off. The Corrosive Bow will drop down the Force Field, and well, Zest having a tough time. Now, a second Force Field will be good for the moment. Breaks that down as the probes come forwards. Will stop some of the Lings from getting better surrounds. The shield battery is on the way up, but it might just be too late. Already 11 probes down, but DT grows up, and obviously the DT defensively is very good here because there's no lair. So the question is, can the DT clean this up in time? Going to leave the DT in the wall so nothing else can break through. Other DTs will come in to try and defend this Ling Roach. Across the map, there's no detection, so if DTs get across the map, there's absolutely potential for damage in that way as well. Actually, so far for Zest, he's lost a lot of probes, yes, but he's still up by about 3, so it's not the end of the world. It's still recoverable, but a few more Lings showing up here. This DT moved out of hold position, or it wasn't on hold position. That's a major mistake. I see a couple of DTs continue to go after Roaches here, and just going to be seeing Zerglings hanging out the front. A couple of the probes actually lifted to be saved against these Roaches as well. So a little bit of up and down there as you do see these Lings continue to come in, picking away at this warp gate a little bit. Yeah, this is okay. I think this is borderlining a bit too much damage done by soO, right? You're still running around with Roaches here. Good play with the Prism, try and surround and shut this down, but I think letting the extra Lings in, you just lost a few too many probes. I feel like if you stick around 23 to 24 probes, then you can maybe do a lot, but now, I mean, also, it's just the fact that you're still being delayed and going across the map. soO's keeping up the pressure, so Zest can't counterattack. Now the Spore Crawler's up, the Lair is on the way, and we're getting to the point where, you know, Zest just has no way to deal damage to get back into this. Just going to be seeing the couple of Lings continue to go down. So a couple of probes getting picked off. Down the bottom side, the Zealots, the DT, making its way down the bottom right. Again, you got to try and do something, right? You got to get in here and make an attempt, but Spore Crawl on each base, Roaches on each base. And that's the difference. soO's already had the time to draw it up. He's already had the time to prepare. And because of that, it looks like soO will probably go up 2-0 in this best of 5. Well, Prison lifts up a few DTs, and we'll take those over into the main. TT's going to get lifted back up. We do see them going to go back up the right side here as the rush speed coming up as well, coming along here at the moment. Just going to type out GG. Nothing really happened, just set prize Wardy Cam as we get ready to go into what could be our last map of this series already. As in the bottom right hand side, the blue Zerg player is soO, currently leading 2-0. Taking on Zest in the upper left-hand side. Just obviously a couple different games so far. I felt like that last game could have been under control from Zest. The big difference was if that DT stayed on hold position, the extra lings don't break in. And I think of that, I mean, it's tough because maybe he actually went out to defend the gateway. But if those extra lings don't get in, I feel like the extra little bit of time does so much for you. And I really mean I think it does so much for you, because you're really going to put yourself in a position where you clean up them last couple of roaches, then the lings don't get in, then you go across the map that much faster, you don't lose like 10 extra probes. It's a very, very different game. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen, and soO is able to make the aggressive ling roach attack work. And here we are now, with game number 3. We get this starting up. Nightshade is going to be our map. There's a couple of drones already jumping into the extractor here down on the bottom side, so a couple of workers jumping in over there. As we do have our cybernetics core, our Nexus, that is building up here on the front of the natural, so a little bit of build up here as well, a little bit of getting set to go. Game 3 of our series. Had some good series today, not a single one's been a sweep. I'd say, you know, I'd say both Maru Armani and also TY versus Trap were real. I mean, TY Trap, I think, maybe the highlight of the day at the moment. Maru Armani was fun. The ZVZ, I think we can just not talk about that one. It was far from anything too exciting. So yeah, hoping Zest kind of pulls this back a little bit and gives us a bit more of a fight. Zest had a decent qualifying run for this event so far. Playing the other day, we actually did cast a little bit of him. You guys might remember if you were tuning in then. So yeah, he came through the bracket and took down Dream in that 3-2 series. That was apparently pretty epic. We didn't get to see that, but we did cast him versus Patience, which was 3-1. There's some crazy PvPs on that day. Patience SOS was absolute mayhem as well. We might actually be rebroadcasting that day of action if you missed it on the stream just between this tournament and the Team League, which we have going on in about 4 hours' time. So maybe stick around for that. Could be worthwhile for you. If you want to see some more games, those games really were very good the other day. We had a great day of casting. Well, Oracle is throwing boosting out here from Zest at the moment, so that's going to be headed down, and already the Phoenix is actually picking away at this Overlord, so Overlord taking quite a lot of damage. Ava will drop down here from Zest, so gets that started too. And just going to see the Overlord going down as Zest now around up to the top side. And Phoenix just trying to see where I can get to. Stargate on the way up here from Zest. So that's going into the main base. So it's going to be that double Stargate play again. He obviously quite likes this at the moment. Obviously feels like this is a good way for him to be able to kind of get into that next stage of the game in a very kind of confident manner. You see the Phoenix looking to pick away at the Overlord, so getting some good damage done there. As the Oracle jumps onto the Spore Crawler, it's going to be dropping down soon as well, if not careful. Phoenix lifts the Queen to stop it getting close. Rebuild on the Spore. That's very difficult to do when the Oracle's right there at the time. Does get it and gets the drone that just popped out too, so altogether gets 3 drones. Zest, some good kills. Two more Phoenix. A play from Zest, obviously, again. We're expecting that number to build up here over the next few minutes. And we'll just have a similar game to game one, but soO is doing something a bit different. soO's going melee upgrades early. So soO's already decided to play kind of a Lingbane style. +1 melee Zerglings are so difficult to deal with when you're playing Phoenix, because what do you have to actually kill the Lings? Well, you've got a few Adepts, but when the Lings have +1, they trade that much better anyways. You have one Oracle, so that's the good thing here. You've gone for one Oracle early, and that does give you some sort of anti-Ling defense. But obviously, if you keep the energy drained on that Oracle, well, then, you know, it can't defend forever. And then if you have to build a couple of Oracles at once off the Stargates, it just slows down your Phoenix play. It's not really what you want to do. So it just becomes very weird and awkward as the Ling is moving around. The Oracle will not activate its energy yet, and that's how important that energy is. It really wants to wait to save that, in case the Lings actually commit onto a Nexus or so. Phoenix arrive, and Zest will begin his defenses. Do you see a couple of extra spores dropping down in the main, so he wants to get this main base protected. It's a weird scenario where we don't actually really see much initial potential going to anti-air from soO. You know, he doesn't have the lair finish to go into Hydras or anything, so with the +1 melee, he might just try and go without Hydras this game, hence the extra spore crawlers, trying to tear those Phoenix as much as possible. So this overload will go down. Two more Phoenix from Zest. Out up the right side. Do you see it again? Just a couple Lings wandering around, trying to see what else is happening. Two more Observers on the way from Zest as well in the natural expansion, and just going to be seeing the Zerglings of soO continuing around here as well. +2 melee, roach speed on the way up. There's the Balin speed as well, so again, all of the kind of bits and pieces you expect. And as this is a Balin kind of style, I mean, there's the Twilight and the Forge, you mentioned those come down later. This isn't as late as that first game, though. So this is a little bit faster at least. But as it comes down, the intention has absolutely got to be Temple Archives and Archons to soak the Banes, and then obviously eventually thinking of moving in towards Storm, because you're just not going to survive off Storm for very long. These Phoenix are just still picking up drones all over the place. When you see drones just rising up on the side of your screen, it's just these Phoenix coming through, picking up a few drones, you know, doing what he wants to do here. And soO is, again, just building drones against it. You know, one of the best counters to the Phoenix is actually just to, you know, get ahead of time and nullify the damage they're going to do by already having set up against the damage they're going to do, as silly as that seems. But again, I mean, that's what the Phoenix are designed for. Look at this, 0 resources lost from Zest this game to 1,400. It's a big difference. Charge, starting on the Twilight Council, +1 attack on the Forge, and the Temple Archives, as mentioned, coming in again. That has to be a priority here from Zest. Will he go straight to Storm, or will he just stick around on Archons for a little bit? I feel like it's one of those scenarios where you can't really stick around on Archons and only Archons for too long. Generally, there's no reason not to get Storm unless you're really feeling like you're going to be attacked in the next couple, like next minute, or unless you're attacking in the next minute. Just go for Archons, obviously. His vision is not perfect, so he doesn't actually see the Hive on the way. If he saw the Hive on the way, he would know he's under no pressure. And I feel like if he knows he's under no pressure, you just start Storm immediately, because again, at that point there's nothing to really lose from investing into Storm. It's only going to aid your army. If there was an attack going in, if this was still the lair and soO was about to max out and hit, and obviously that investment into Storm could have been money elsewhere, and, you know, then it becomes a very different story. Side Temple actually building up energy, so it's almost like Zest is expecting that he's already researching Storm, but he isn't, so that might be a costly mistake for him if he doesn't get back to fixing it sooner rather than later. Nosling is pushed out into the center, Fleet Beacon dropping down from Zest. Another Stargate on the way up. Those Queens coming in, able to pick off an Observer too, so still making a decent job of this, as our Phoenix having a bit of a fly around still. Zest is just preparing for later in this game. Fleet Beacon already dropping down the 3rd Stargate, so he's very ready to just make multiple Tempests at a time. really get an answer to the, well, obviously the future tech from soO. He's expecting that to be Great Aspire, which just starts. So he's just already being set up for Broods. That's okay. Because he doesn't think Broods are coming right away, he's going to start carriers, so he believes he can get away with a few carriers first. Carriers are a little bit longer to build, they're a little bit less effective in lower numbers. If there's no Broodlords up, you don't really need the Tempest just yet, so it does make sense. Good force field seal, though a few Banelings do slip in, and there's still Banelings left, so soO is going to make and continue to make this attack on the base. A few Banes going around, blowing up a High Templar Warp in it as well, and he's going to get the probes on this low ground. Phoenix come back to lift up a bunch of the Ravagers, etc. Anything they can kill with some kind of speed. soO will be pushed away, but honestly the start looks like kind of went well for him, so I don't think soO's too upset. Now he's losing a lot more though. The Queen's out of position, they are caught. And that is going to be in the end. soO pushed all the way back towards his natural ramp where you will have to hang back, you'll have to get Corruptors up and have to play Broodlords here, but again, it is looking good for Zest, right? Because you look at Zest's setup now. He's got a couple Void Rays on the way out just to help against Corruptors. He's already got a first few carriers. Not bad for Zest. Again, losing some probes in his 4th base hurts, but hopefully that can't be replaced. He's got 4 bases to produce probes from, right? So you can absolutely get that back up and running very quickly. Pushing out as we do see the Phoenix up on the top side. We're going to be able to grab a Zergling. 3 more Void Rays being brought into play. 6 Broodlords building on the 4th. Phoenix still flying around. The Archons sat underneath the Void Rays and the carriers. +2 air weapon, Starner, Chrono Boost. We're going to see the shield upgrade as well. And finally Storm starts, and I really feel like, you know, he wanted Storm kind of a while ago, but in the end he did more for those High Templars into Archons. Now he will get Storm going properly here, so he's making some progress. The army of Zest still hanging between the bases. Lingbane from soO. soO's not even really made a movement to too many Broods either, right? 6 Broods so far. Corruptors are going to be very important here, actually, and especially of getting those Corruptor upgrades, because you're really going to need to take down the air units of the Protoss very quickly. You need to get rid of those carriers and Void Rays so you can protect the Broodlords, and you need, you know, the Corruptors to really overwhelm that so you can get rid of them fast enough. Corruptor count's going to maybe be the real key to this game, and to the larger fight, which we are kind of destined to see now. As 13 minutes in, the map is covered in creep. See, it's just expanding all over. We are maxed out, and there will be a large fight at some part of this. The question is, what's it going to look like? soO's kind of feels like it's just been given all the time in the world. Thing is, when you get the creep out on the map like this, Zest is going to struggle to get around the map with the prison to do much. You know, meanwhile, soO's just going into what's Infestors, more Vipers. You know, invest into Burrow, Pathogen Glands, +2 Carapace. Everything you could think of here for soO to improve his later game composition is more or less already on the way. You know, say his Corruptor count's starting to look good. Yeah, I don't think, you know, 10 Corruptors is really the go-to number, but it's a good start. I think he needs more than that. It depends on what the Vipers and the Infestors manage to add to the fight. Mostly Fungal Growth. He hasn't researched Neural Parasite yet, but Neural Parasite would be a good go-to as well. To obviously try and take some of the Voids out of the fight, maybe. Applying Clouds from the Vipers, or just Yoinks, depending on, again, how do you want to engage. Do you want to dive right on in and take a full-on head-first engagement, or do you want to kind of, again, like yoink a couple units out with the Vipers, just take a couple at a time, weaken it up, and then maybe look for a larger fight? Phoenix left with a bunch of these Banes. Man, they make such a weird sound when it's this simulant skin set. Like, clink, 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 clink as they get lifted. Roll to nothingness. So both those Banes go down here, and again, his creep's still trying to push up the center of the map. I mean, where else can the creep go without being picked off? Really not very far. Bottom left could do some work. That's about it. That's about it. 11 more drones still on the way out. +2 flyer attack is going to finish soon as well. +3 air weapons. It's been a long time coming. So that's what we'll continue to chrono boost that now to get that finished up. Zest's composition is good. I mean, I like it. It's not every day you see an army like that get beaten. He's gonna kill off his Phoenix now as well. Just no use for them. So kill those off, free up supply, and boom, you can afford more voids or more carriers. Run by over here, but not a lot to be done, especially when there's so many cannons. The zealots warping in. Yes, that's where the freed up supply goes. Boom, warp in defensively. All good. Just can't get over how much creep spread Zest soO has. What has Zest done to deal with that? Well, not a lot. He's got observers on the edge of the creep, but you know, that's about it. There's not really the same as having creep all over the map. There's really, let's just look at soO's vision, right? I'm going to turn soO's vision on. You might be asking, well, did he even change anything? Not really, because he sees so much of the map. It's only, you know, these bases of Zest, which he doesn't have permanent vision on, which of course makes sense. It's really hard to get that far over. He is encroaching the bases with creep spread, and that always means that suddenly you can take fights on the bases with creep underneath you. It means you can run away faster, you can reposition units faster. It's dangerous for Zest. It's really, really dangerous. Voiders do have their flux veins, by the way, so flying around with a little bit of speed. That's going to take that as an opportunity to move on the map and now start clearing creep on the right-hand side. A couple of zealots go far top right at the same time. However, the main army of soO is ready to respond. It's already in position over here. So he's going to counter-attack in, so just as soO is maybe looking for a fight, Zest is going to find one on this fourth base, and that's going to be 16. 21 probes dead, I think, after this. Good damage done. 21 workers killed off there. Just by a few Banes. I think it's quite a few Baners, right? But 21 workers is 21 workers. In the game where soO is trying to slow Zest down as much as possible, it works. At this point, I wonder, is, you know, that Zest army is going to be a little bit too strong? Maybe could we just add on instead from soO? You know, how could you improve your army when it's maxed out? Well, you know, this sort of setup: stack defense, spore crawlers, spine crawlers, spores over here, spines and a spore here. I would love to see just more spore crawlers, because what you're going to really struggle with in this army is the air units. If you get rid of the air units, you probably win the fight. If you get rid of the air units and you don't win the fight, you've completely reset the tech tree of the Protoss player down to something that should be a lot more manageable, so that even if you lost the fight, you're not in, you know, you're not completely out of reach, basically. Falcons in a death, picking their way through the hatch. You see them Bane coming in, and getting a little bit of us around. A couple of Falcons do fall. Carriers, Tempest. Zest does not want to go anywhere, he just wants to clean up the creep spread a little bit, which, again, very understandable. You do not, there was a lot of creep spread to be pushing onto, right? You've got to be super careful about it. Got to be real careful. On the top right, Zealots and a couple Archons find their hatchery kill. We're going to be seeing the, couple more creep tumors going down. The Oracle pressing for us. We'll drop a Revelation. That's going to be the Broodlords getting caught up. Blink TT on the way. He has our +2 attack upgrade from Zest getting going, and we have Zest now over this right hand side. Here we go. It's actually going to push into towards spores as well. Pops the prismatic alignment, and I think just kind of gets out of there. Didn't even finish off the spore crawlers. Goes down looking for a Revelation. I'm not sure why. Everything was already caught. One thing Zest has been, well, I say he's been good at, but actually he did lose a lot of probes here before, right? I mean, he is committing the proper amount to base defense. I mean, sometimes they're going to sneak by you, sometimes they are going to get in for damage, but in general, Zest put himself allowing himself to not take too much more damage, preparing ahead of time to put himself into some better positions. So you're Templar warping in here underneath the warp prism. So you see a Cybernetics core, upgraded air armor upgrades now as well. Also not something you see every day of the week. So that's all gathered up. Corruptor, Viper, Infestor. Broodlord as well. We're waiting to see a clash of these armies. This two missile attack will start. One thing we could maybe see from Zest, maybe a disruptor or two. I know he doesn't have like a lot of ground army, it's one more thing to control. They could maybe hit like the Infestors. I guess maybe it's just not enough ground army to realistically commit to disruptors, right? Because are they really, like, what's the chances of the connection when there's so little out and about on the map? Next, let's play the bottom side. Probe's going down. Counterattacks in from soO. Doing well as a Nidus up in the main. Those Lings down over here as well. Bane's here. And Next is even maybe about to go down. So soO does a decent job, but he does find himself losing a base on the bottom left-hand side. A couple of Archons making a play on the right. I think I shut down pretty quickly as well. Drones being picked off. The Oracle going to press forwards and join up with the rest of this. A few Zealots setting up, and they're going to just go forwards here to pick away some of these drones. So, yeah, nice harassment from Zest around the map, but he's really low on supply here. Resource loss is a bit better for Zest. You can see he's not really lost major units. Yeah, Immortals and Archons as the game has gone by, but in terms of the Sky Army, he's only lost the one Void Ray at any stage. That's right, resources lost is pretty even, but also in the scenario where Zest is just not, maxed out again just yet, because I guess he's just a bit too low on workers. He's especially missing gas, and that's concerning because, yeah, you can warp in a bunch of Zealots, but soO has 4k, 5k in the bank and rising, so soO has ability to build gas units and mineral-based units. Zest is much more limited. I mean, less of a bank and way less gas especially. It's going to be the real deciding factor there. soO's making a lot of Lings right now and using those to counterattack. It's a good decision because you don't want to get late in this game and use up all of your gas and have loads of minerals left over. Because at that point you may as well have used instead. And that instead at that point it's so much better for you to actually use the minerals on Lings earlier when they're more useful, when they're less likely to just get insta-killed in an army, or late game when there's just a couple units defending something. So that's trying, soO's trying to make the most of that with the clump right now, and introducing those Lings as harassing units. Zest pushes in because this base on the bottom doesn't seem like soO really cares. soO's in a position where top side of the map he's got Broodlord slowly pressing in towards encroaching on this base of Zest. So he's picking his way through that, and Zest's just going to decide to recall. We might see a bit of a fight here. Broodlords know what they're up to, so they back straight away from it. They don't want to commit in. Still just those broods getting set to go. 8 of them pressing forwards. See a couple changes getting picked up. That's a really nice fungal growth all over the place here, actually. See some broodlings dropping down now, and Void's coming in off the Broodlord. There's a mothership up in the skies. A couple more carriers getting yoinked on in as well. So far so good, as we still see this army pushing around here. Going to go in for a carrier as well to try to make a pick off. And this is the big fight we've kind of been waiting for. Remember that rebuilding from here. Zest is definitely in more trouble than soO is, and soO still has the Corruptors, by the way, to come forwards and make snipes happen. There's a couple of High Temple on the ground that have Storms. They really need to try and hit on the Void Rays, on the Corruptors, try and weaken this up and let the Void Rays make the finishing blows to that now. The problem is the carriers are out of Interceptors, and Zest is still just sat here. And if you're out of Interceptors, you're not really taking a good fight at all. These Void Rays are going down, the carriers aren't really adding much into this, and it looks like soO is going to win the game. But that huge fight here, all said and done, the last few carriers dropping down dead. soO is going to flee. 0 to close this out, and he will advance to play Mara.